All right, so I should see you writing down a couple of things, or two things right now. One is your homework that says use MLA cheat sheet. I know you don't know what it means yet. To cite 2 framed quotes, and then you should be writing what's in red. Comment your technique. Wherever you write your homework, however you write your homework, write it down. Do not tell me you're just going to check haiku later. It is not just my responsibility to put it up there. It is your responsibility too. If it's down, if it's not working, always your responsibility to have the information yourself. That's a backup place for you. So, I know you don't know what it means yet. You will know what it means in a little bit. So the first thing that I would like for you to do is take out the document that is called Making Evidence Work. I know you're downloading the MLA cheat sheet. As soon as you finish that, put it up there on your screen.
Can I take a picture of me?
Get up and do what you need to do, but do it quickly. Okay. So, here we go. I'm starting the lesson in 12 seconds. You should be seated. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you should all be on this document right here.
Yes, ma'am.
You should be on this document right here. Okay. So thank you for being on this document, Joe. Who else is on this document?
Mimas.
August is on it. Not that one. Not that one.
Oh, I got it.
Thank you. Manu, thank you. Eric. Okay. So it looks like we're getting onto this document. This document is called Making Evidence Work. So we've been talking about how we use evidence and what we do with that. And so we're going to keep building on that. How does evidence or quotes that we've been talking about, how does that look on a page? When you write an article or read an article or read an essay or write an essay, how does that look? How do quotes or evidence that is in quotes look on a page besides quotation marks? You can,
According to
very much it says like
website,
according to,
comma,
then there's some other punctuation with the quotes, right?
It's noted in.
As noted in. So there's a variety of ways that it can look, but what I'm hearing from you guys actually is this first technique. This first technique is called transition into or out of. And I want to have you put over here in a corner, frame your quote. Frame your quote. That's another way to say this. So framing your quote means that you do not just have a quote from somebody important or an article important stuck in there. It's kind of like you guys were just telling me, that there's an introduction or a transition into that
To the quote.
that says something like, according to, or as noted in. It can also go, although it's not quite as common, as an outroduction, which isn't really a word, but it can go on the end of it. So you can introduce or outroduce with a transition, all right? I'm going to show you some examples here. You guys already got this according to or as noted in, as you saw. I want to show you what the outroduce or the transition out looks like. Look at the last bullet down here. Draw your arrow to out down there. So this is an example of how you can do it out. You can have the quote start, but then it doesn't just stop with a period. It says so-and-so. So these are ways that you put your evidence in your essays, the ways that they look on the page for a reader to understand that this is somebody else's work and who this somebody else is or why they are important. So this is our first way of doing this. Okay, you guys have seen these, and we're going to practice these, and we're going to look at these in a little bit. The second one is one that you might recognize, but I don't know that you thought about it as a technique. When you have evidence on your page, you can have a source and an expertise explaining who these important people are. So first, look at this. It says Dr. Yates, Director of Sports Health at Harvard, found that 14 out of
16.
Okay. So in this instance, it is paraphrased. You could also have, we're going to talk about that one in a minute, You can also have paraphrased information, but you cannot just say, according to who is she? Oh, she's the sports director at Harvard. Oh, she's the president of Brazil. Oh, she's whatever, okay?
Dilma.
She's the next Donald Trump.
She's the new president.
No,
Okay.
she's the new Donald Trump.
She's the new somebody, but you need to let your audience know not just who they are, but what their expertise is. What's the root word that you see inside expertise? Expert. What makes them an expert?
According to Miss Yates, my language arts teacher.
Somebody even more expert than me, probably.
Mm.
Although I'm an expert, thank you. So
More
there's
like Shakespeare.
there's a variety of ways.
Expert.
It could be, yes, it could be a person, but look at the third bullet. It could also be a site. Your audience might not always know what this site is. If you're ever unsure or think they might not know it, always just tell them what this site is or who this person is that makes them an expert or reliable. Even yesterday, one of the quotes we were looking at was for livestrong.com, and some of you were like, I know who that is, we did it, look like you, I worked on it with my social set. Some of you knew, some of you didn't. So always try to explain that for your audience. I'm going to have you guys pause right here for a second and open up your flash drafts. These are our most common, or our top 2 ways of using evidence on a page. You commonly see these 2. Before we go any further, I'm going to have you opening your flash draft in your Google Doc, open your flash draft, and tell me on your flash draft or in your flash draft, if you, or any quotes that you had, did one of these 2 for all of them, for maybe one or sort of did it, or Miss, you didn't teach us this yet, I didn't do it at all. Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. Look at your evidence and see what you have done.
According to
Okay, I'm seeing a good mix of either up, sideways, or down. Some of you guys might have remembered this or used it. A lot of you guys are saying sort of maybe. Some of you guys are saying no, and that's okay because we didn't have this lesson until today. So, we're going to be tonight, not yet, but tonight, going in, and we're going to be framing our evidence in either this way, or this way, or this way, or the fourth one that you can't see yet. Okay? These are probably the most common ones that you will use.
And can we add it to our flash draft?
You will add it in your own flash draft tonight,
No,
yes.
I mean, like more quotes or something.
Yes. You need to do at least 2. If you are ready to move beyond that, yes, you may. Okay? So, I've looked at the top one, I've looked at the second one. Let's look at the bottom 2. Use an ellipsis. Where have you heard this word before?
Oh, I've heard this.
Have you heard it before?
Yeah.
We did it in my class when we did sensible sentences. What does an ellipsis look like? Who knows?
Oh, like when you change like, the brackets and all that.
We did it with that lesson, yes. It looks like a dot, dot, dot. Please put your dot, dot, dot above the word ellipsis. It would be great if the word ellipsis had one more I in it, so that it would be like dot, dot, dot as a way to remember it with the word, right?
There's no point to it, but there's a dot, dot, dot.
Yeah. If it was like ellipsis or something. Okay, so use an ellipsis, which is the dot, 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 and we did do it with the lesson with the brackets, to shorten quotes or connect pieces of quotes. So we've talked about this before. If you want to say the beginning part, skip all of this, and the end part, that's where your ellipsis goes. Beginning part, dot, 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 the rest. And what does that dot, dot, dot show your audience?
There's more.
There's more, but we didn't need it for this right now. The other one we talked about was that lesson with the brackets
To modify it.
to modify or change. So if it doesn't have somebody's name, or if it says when we go there and nobody knows where there is, bracket, Miami, okay? Whatever you need to modify goes in the bracket, or add goes in the bracket. So you might have seen that. There's some examples down here. There is not enough education of those who lead sports, dot, 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 which is why kids are injured. What does this first dot tell us?
There was something.
There was something between it. There is not enough education of coaches, which is why kids are injured. What is this word in coaches in brackets for?
There's not enough, like, it depends. They didn't say who, like.
Yeah, this word those was changed. Why did they change it?
Because
To make it
no one
more
knows.
clear.
To make it more clear or give more information. Okay, they didn't change the meaning, they just added that word. Okay? So those are the ways we can do it. I know you've seen it before, but that's the last or the third way. The fourth way is to paraphrase. Now you will use this, but right now we're specifically working on quotes. So you may use this from time to time, but I don't want all of your quoted evidence to turn into paraphrasing. In the same way, I don't want every piece of information you have to be quotes so that your whole paper is just full of quotes. There needs to be a good mix. So look at how you can use this. You paraphrase or summarize information to give the most important information without boring your readers. So take a long chunk, basically it means this.
But
So
like,
you say it in your own words.
you say like, as stated by, and then you just,
If you say, you might say, I wouldn't say as stated by, because stated by often means like this is exactly how they stated it. But you might say, an article mentions that or discusses the points of blah, 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 blah. And then maybe later you can prove it with one quote instead of all of that. Okay? So these are the four ways. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pull this up in just a minute and freeze it so you can look at it. But first, let's go
let me take a step.
to the bottom. We're going to skip this bottom piece for a second and come back to it. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the second page. The second page says, what techniques were used to insert evidence in this example? I've typed it here. These bottom ones are student examples, so they may have grammatical errors in them. Let's look at this first one. It says, Jacqueline Stinson, an MSNBC contributor, argues that kids who are pushed too hard during sports can burn out. Stinson argues that not only are these,
Youngsters.
good job, at risk for emotional,
Burnout.
they may also develop injuries that plague them for a,
Lifetime.
some will turn to,
Steroids.
or other performance enhancing substances to try to gain an edge. So my question to you is, and there's a third on mine, go ahead and add 3 guys to yours. My question to you is, there are 3 different techniques for using quotes or putting quotes in and how they should look on a page, or evidence, in this example. 3 from the list above. So I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to pause this up here or freeze it up here so that you can refer to it, at your tables to do number 1 and see which of these techniques you can find around that evidence, around that quote. I also want you then to draw an arrow or circle where it goes, where it is in that paragraph. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes to do this at your tables. Just number 1.
But you like, just,
You're going to have to tell me which of these 4 pieces you see surrounding that evidence for number 1.
oh,
On yours it says there are 2, right?
yeah.
Add a 3 if you didn't see me do that earlier. There are 3. Okay? So there are 3 things in there. What do you find and where do you find them?
My question is, do you put like transition into or person name?
Yes, you put exactly those and then you show me where it is. Okay, so let's talk about what we found in this example. So let me unfreeze this. I'm going to wait for you guys to get quiet. Okay. What did we find in this example? What did you see up here? Who found some things? Eric, what'd you find?
Source.
You found the source and the expertise?
Yes.
Okay, not just the source. Did you also find the expertise?
Yes.
Okay, so let's write the whole thing. Source and expertise. How many of you guys found that? Okay, somebody tell me where it is.
Where it says Jacqueline Stinson, and then MS.
Yeah, okay. All right, so what else did we find?
Paraphrase.
Paraphrase, where is it?
Argues that kids who are pushed too hard during sports can burn out.
More. Oh, up here, sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Argues that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay.
Transition into.
And our last one, somebody else. Rock.
Transition into.
Transition in and out. This one happens to be a transition into. So it is definitely framed. Where do you see that? Who wants to tell us? Raise your hands, raise your hands, raise your hands.
Where argues like Stenson argues that
Not only. Okay, so there we have a transition into. So we have 3 different things really closely used in here. That's how your flash draft is going to start looking this weekend or tonight. So you're going to have 2 framed quotes. You might have more. At this point, I'm asking you to do 2 so that we can check them and see where we are. Okay? So you need to do 2. It also says that you need to comment on your technique. So you'll highlight it, make a comment. What will that be in the comment?
Source and expertise.
Which strategy? Did you use a source and expertise? Did you use transition in or out? Did you use paraphrase? Remember, source and expertise go together. Okay? We're going to do one more. We're just going to do number 2. And we're going to practice one more time. At your tables, the same that you were working with, do number 2 right now and tell me what you find and where you find it. What you find and where you find it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, say elbow.
Elbow.
If you're listening, say wrist.
Wrist.
Okay, so here we go. What are some things that you found in this example? What are some things that you found? Nico, what did you find? You found an ellipsis. You are indeed right. There is an ellipsis. Where do we see it?
In
After
third
row.
line in the dot to grow.
Right there. So we've cut some things that we didn't need there. What about some other things? What else did we find? Sebastian?
Like introduction into?
Introducing, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Transition into?
Transition into.
Transition into or intro.
Okay.
Okay, introduce is fine. So where do you see that?
According to the article, get off that code.
According to the article, get off that couch and play. Quote, sports can. Okay, there's another one down here
So
too.
that's what up to.
Says, and there's another one down here.
But aren't the first one, isn't it an out too? It's after the quote.
I think that one is, it's hard for us to tell because it's student writing, whether those are commas or periods in there. It possibly could be. Yes. Because I don't think they use their punctuation quite right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
use it as outro.
And higher, what else did you find? What else did you find? Say it again. Can you look at me and say it so I can hear you?
Source and X.
Source and expert. Where did you find that, guys?
Bigelow.
Bigelow. Good. So some of you guys might have noticed that it says Bigelow from On Demand Media. Lisa Bigelow, yes, from On Demand Media. So it tells us who she is. We might even explain who On Demand Media is even more. Okay? So there is a variety of things in here that you could use. And this is what you will be doing for your homework tonight. We're going to pause right there and make sure that you remember that you need to comment what techniques. Scooty?
There's 2 more.
There are more, yes, I know.
Yeah,
We're gonna stop right there,
I
yeah.
think there's paraphrasing on
There
it.
is.
Yeah, we're gonna stop right there. There are more. So what I'm gonna have you guys do now is go back up to the part we skipped with all of those examples. Let's have you label this helper examples. If you are freaking out and going, Miss, I can't figure out a way to make this quote work, I have given you some ways to try. Okay? Some of you are ready for this without me in my helper examples. That's fine. If you're thinking, Miss, I'm not ready, I need some, here they are. Okay? So you need to do at least 2 of your quotes. If you're ready to do the rest of them, go ahead and do that this weekend if you're ready. Most of us might feel comfortable just doing the 2 that we have. A few of us have more and are ready. Okay? So that's the first part of our homework. I'd like for you guys to switch documents to the one called MLA Cheat Sheet. MLA
cheat codes.
MLA Cheat Sheet.
Cheat sheet.
We're out at 10 minutes. Okay.
Is that like how much time?
So, MLA cheat sheet. What this means is, an MLA cheat sheet is, where are we? MLA is an abbreviation for something called Modern Language Association. And when you write professionally, whether it's an essay or an article, there are a variety of ways that you are supposed to cite your sources. The same way in classes, some teachers want you to put your first name, last name, block, and date. Some of them want it in the right-hand corner. Some of them want it in the left-hand corner. Raise your hand if you've had problems with this in classes, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this will plague you the rest of your life. The same thing happens with professional writing. I'm still going to wait because when that bell rings, you guys saw what happened in the last class, right? They weren't done. When you write professionally, there are a few different ways, not right hand or left hand or center, but they are called the ways that you write, and they are called like MLA format, which is this one, or APA, or there's Chicago. There are a variety of different ways. And the reason it's called a cheat sheet is that you are not required to memorize all of this. You are required to be able to use it. You can find MLA cheat sheets or MLA helper online in a million different places. Or if you ever find a teacher who says APA, doesn't matter. What your job is to be able to follow the way it looks. And we're talking today about in-text citations. That's very different than your documentaries that you did in social studies where you had works cited or bibliography at the end. What do you think in-text citations
They
refer
gotta
to?
put the citation in the text.
The citation in the text. And it goes right after the sentence that has the quote. So most of the time it will go at the end of the quote, and then you will put a period after the citation. If you do an outroduce or a transition out, you will say said so-and-so, period, or said so-and-so, then do it. Okay? So what I'd like for you guys to do now is look at the kinds of ways that you can do this. So I want you to notice that there's a lot of information on here, but you don't have to use all of it, nor do you have to memorize it.
You can use only one or two.
Right. So it says in-text citation, that's what we're doing, for a print source with a known article. So a source that would be from a printed piece, and you happen to know, a known author, and it says or it mentions the author's name. So, Why I Don't Want My Kids to Play Sports by Rodrigo Saya. If the article has an author known on it, you will use that article. But look at all these yellow things. The author stated in your sentence. If you have an example down here, like this, where you say the author in your sentence, you don't need to put the author at the end, you only need to put the page number. If you don't state the author in your sentence, your citation should say the author's name with the page number.
But what happens if it's like a website and
That's below. We're going to get there in a second. Okay? Information from an author that is not directly quoted but wouldn't be known. There's also a number of ways to do it here, and you have to mention you just mentioned the page number here of the text where it is found and put it in parentheses. So you have to be able to follow this. Okay, did I state my author in my sentence? Yes. All right, this is what I do. I didn't state the author in this sentence. It's somewhere else. This is what I do. It's a little bit like a puzzle. You have to look at it. Okay? But this is going to be required of you the rest of your life. You have to be able to figure out, not memorize, but use examples and go, I need to make mine look like theirs. Okay? So, let's look at this first example. Stephen Pepper refers to this phenomenon as a cumulative collaboration of evidence. How come there's only a 2 and there's no name at the end?
because
His name is coming later.
Down here, this phenomenon is best referred to as a cumulative collaboration of evidence, Smith 49. Why do I have a name down here?
Because you didn't say it yet.
I didn't say it in a sentence, okay? These are ones you'll probably use the most. Let's go down. Scroll below. If you happen to have no known author, there's a box for that. Okay? If you happen to have a non-print source from the internet, okay? These are ones that you'll do. You'll name the website. However, if your website is a print source, like it comes out in a magazine, like Time Magazine, you can use the print source. Does that make sense? Okay, so you need to be able to follow these. Most of us will be using this one or the ones I've already looked at. Only a couple of us will have to do anything more difficult, and it depends on what you've chosen as your quotes. Some of you might be doing video clips or film. Some of you might be doing a podcast or YouTube,
Oh, you could do a podcast?
if there's one that you've already used or you want to.
So Belinda wants to do that.
So I'd like for you guys to look at the bottom here. It says practice here. Please go down to where it says practice. So again, you are not required to memorize this stuff. You are required to be able to look at a chart and go, which example is mine? I need to make it look like the box. So the first one says, you used the article, Dying to Have a Family. By who?
Nancy Gibbs.
Nancy Gibbs. And when did she write it?
In 2001.
2001. Okay. Then it says, I'm going to blow it up a little bit bigger here. Then it says, This is the quote that you want to use. The case was more an ethical issue. You did not use her name in the sentence when you wrote that essay. Write what the in-text citation would look like here.
But you don't know what page you wrote it in.
Doesn't matter. Says, you use the article dying da-da-da-da. Write what the in-text citation would look like.